I guarantee you they're promoting black serial killing.
Being a crackhead wasn't cool. Now it seems like they're making it cool to be drinking lean and syrup and
it's the most dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing that's facing our society.
So why sign an artist that would promote that?
It's opportunistic.
It'll make you cry if you really love music.
Kanye West has been speaking some hard truths about the music industry, and now all suspicions have been confirmed. He was right all along. Black rappers are getting sacrificed by their labels for profits. The industry is promoting the serial killing of black artists and especially rappers.
It's opportunistic. Yeah, I got people to feed. I got a business to run.
There's no denying Kanye's accusations now, because even the company executives are confirming this claim. All these drugs and violence was for their own benefit. But how do labels benefit from putting their own artists at risk? Let's uncover the scary truth that we had failed to see all these years in the black music industry.
Right now, if you go to Apple right now, go to Apple Music. Let's load up the top 10 songs. I guarantee you they're promoting black serial killing.
Kanye is often portrayed as a lunatic with bizarre and weird conspiracy theories and ideas. When he initially started talking about how the industry was out to get the black artists, nobody believed him. But now that the executives are shamelessly confirming the suspicions, it's becoming harder and harder to ignore what Kanye has been saying all along.
The truth is this, a bunch of young black male rappers keep dying. You know who's not dying? Record executives. The record executives that push for them to continue to make songs and create a culture that is obsessed with death, drugs, and sex.
Kanye's fears aren't unfounded. Black artists and rappers are getting murdered violently right, left, and center. It's stupid to believe that it has nothing to do with the culture being promoted through their music.
The industry's obsessed with it, but those record executives, they're not dying. Because they don't push this culture on their own people, but they're encouraging you to push it on yours, and they're paying you handsomely to do it.
And the ones responsible for it are their record labels that are pushing young black men into violence and drugs so they can make money off of it.
Not just one. They're promoting black. The red media is making money off of blacks being serial killers to each other. Also misogynistic.
Kanye seems to be the only one brave enough to talk about how the media is making money off by putting black rappers at risk. Despite countless murders and deaths of artists, violence is still being promoted through black music. Rap isn't just rhyming words and beats. Like any other music, it's an agent of change and shapes society. So when the black rappers talk about women as disposable playthings who exist only for men's abusive delight and act like it's cool to be cold-blooded and unfeeling about your behavior affects someone else, this is exactly what people learn. So who's suffering the most from this portrayal of black people? Blacks themselves. And as it turns out, record labels are encouraging this harmful behavior. When black artists talk about drugs and violence, it generates controversy, which puts them on the radar and makes them more noticeable. This helps the labels, as they all want is exposure. After all, bad publicity is still publicity. Even though black rappers earn money through this ploy, it not only harms their reputation, but also encourages the use of drugs and guns in the black community. People from inside the industry are finally speaking up. Listen to what Dame Dash has to say about black artists selling their souls to the labels.
I never do, I sign you, I own you. I don't do that. The mentality doesn't sound right. People accepting that doesn't sound right. People being proud of that doesn't sound right.
For the longest time, black rappers and musicians have been associated with drugs and guns. Turns out, all this was a ploy from their labels to put the lives of these artists in danger so that the companies could make profits. The labels decide what the artist is allowed to talk about in his music and through his lifestyle, and the artist has no choice because the label owns him. If you're still not convinced how deeply rooted violence is in black music, this will change your mind. There's a whole special genre called drill rap that originated in Chicago. Drill is where rappers brag about killing their ops and songs. The victims are other young black men, some as young as 14. The lyrics in these songs are meant to be gritty and violent. Not surprisingly, drill rappers have suffered the consequences of this culture, and some, like T.Woo, have even lost their lives.
Puffy has been making money off of Biggie's name for longer than Biggie was alive.
The earliest introduction of violence into black music was the shocking murder of Biggie Smalls by none other than his friend and founder of his record label, Diddy. The world was obsessed with the Notorious B.I.G. He was a cultural revolution and had taken the world by storm. But then, all of a sudden, in 1997, he was mercilessly killed. When Biggie decided he wanted to change labels, Diddy realized he could make more money for himself if he could sacrifice his friend Biggie. Even today, Diddy is making money off his music. Biggie wasn't the only one he wanted dead. He was also involved in the death of one of the best black rappers of all times, Tupac.
Something gotta change. I don't give a if Pac gotta die, Big gotta die, or Suge Knight go to jail. Something's gotta change.
Diddy continues to make profits off the albums Biggie recorded because he kept the rights to his albums. Since Biggie was planning to leave his label, it's not hard to imagine Diddy's motive behind murdering Biggie. This started a trend of seeing black artists as a sacrifice for the sake of monetary profit for the record labels. Biggie is certainly not the only rapper that has suffered this fate. Only a few years ago, we saw a similar scene when the up-and-rising hip-hop star Xtentacion was brutally shot outside a South Florida motorcycle shop. Unsurprisingly, his music as well as his public image was filled with controversy, violence, and misogyny. He had been previously arrested for robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, and home invasion. If this wasn't bad enough, allegedly accused by his then-girlfriend of abuse and was charged with aggravated battery of a pregnant woman, domestic battery by strangulation, false imprisonment, and witness tampering. He pleaded not guilty in December 2017 and was home arrested. If you think fame would make rappers immune to being exploited by the industry, you're wrong.
And one thing about when you have money, you don't really know people have evil intentions around you, like evil intentions.
Even Cardi B has a hard time finding her peace of mind in this industry.
Do you feel that you're happier right now than when you were broke, or not really?
Sometimes. It's a sometime thing. Like, you know, it makes me happy. It makes me happy that I'm able to afford what I want, and it makes me happy that I get to treat my family. But I feel like the way that I have money kind of took away a lot of my happiness.
Black rappers feel like everyone around them is insincere and has evil intentions. You would think all this money and bling would make these rappers happy and fulfilled. But it's hard to be fulfilled when other people make all the important decisions for you and only have their own benefit in mind. After a fellow rapper, PNB Rock, was murdered in broad daylight, Nicki Minaj raised her voice on the increasing violence against black rappers. She said, "The people around these rappers gain so much. It's time to start really reminding them over and over. At least try to put your foot down if you care. Tell them you're not loved like you think you are. You're prey. In a world full of predators, what's not clicking?" Some of these rappers spoke openly against gun violence and gangs. Among them, one of the rappers was Nipsey Hussle, who tried his best to do good work for the community. He spoke out against rappers who would boast of purported gang affiliations to stunt or look cool. In his last tweet before his murder, he wrote, "Having strong enemies is a blessing." Unfortunately, this blessing quickly turned into a curse. And despite his stance against violence and gangs, he suffered a similar fate. Even last year, the music community suffered a huge loss when famous rapper Takeoff was killed in a shooting. It was a horrible shock to everyone. The mayor of Houston said, "Too many young men of color are killing each other, resolving their disputes by pulling their guns and shooting one another regardless of fame or fortune. Crazy. And in a few seconds, a life is gone. Families and friends are left grieving. Stop." The rapper's death was another reminder of how much violence is integrated in the black music culture. For years, black rappers are getting murdered, and still they continue to talk about all the things that kill them. Drugs, gun violence, gangs. A journalist, Jeremy Hill, writing about Takeoff's death, had similar views and wrote, "I was in college when Biggie and Pac were killed and thought there was no way we'd ever experience anything remotely close to that again. Now it's happening so frequently that you barely have time to recover before someone else killed. R.I.P. Takeoff."
Isn't it sad that we who have been the victims of so much violence, now whites fear violence from us? We do not have a history of killing white people.
Portraying black people as violent and misogynistic is rooted in racism that has been rampant in the world for decades. Kanye wasn't making crazy accusations all this time. Black artists are suffering and their lives are in constant danger. The only way to fix this problem is to remove the drugs and violence culture from black music. At least it looks like people are finally catching up to how labels are benefiting from the murders and violence against black rappers. A fan tweeted, "There's at least 7 rappers signed to Empire Distribution, founded by Ghazi Shami, who were murdered. It's spooky how these black men get sacrificed to enrich others. Black people love to talk about systematic racism without saying names. I just gave you a few. Grow some balls." Fans think it's an attempt to keep black people from excelling. One fan commented that their leaders keep losing their lives, so black people wouldn't prosper. He said, "It's crazy that I'm actually living things like unsolved murders of our black rappers that was trying to motivate and elevate our people. Like, I've really watched documentaries about stuff like this. This is crazy. They don't want to see us win for real, so they take down our leaders one by one." There's still a long way to go before violence and drug culture is removed from black music. But the fact that people are finally realizing Kanye was right all along is the first step in the right direction. That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye.